Hey everyone, my name is Katie Masters. Grab yourself a big old mug of something because today we're talking publishing. So you finished a manuscript. Congratulations! So now you're ready to publish. That's fantastic. But now you have to ask yourself the question, in which way do I publish? There are quite a number of ways to publish. And today we're going to go over the ways that you can get published. It's gonna be fun, I promise. It'll mostly probably be fun. The first one we have up is traditional publishing, or trad publishing. Traditional publishing is, of course, the one everyone's heard about. You have to query or pitch to an agent, and the agent who accepts you then goes and takes your work to publishing houses, one of the big five, or imprints of the big five, like Macmillan, Penguin, Random House, Simon & Schuster. They take it to them, and then they go and hopefully buy your book because they think your manuscript is fantastic. If you go this route with traditional publishing, there are, of course, pros and cons. One of the main pros, of course, is that you usually get an advancement of money. Advancements, by the way, for those who don't know, is money that they give you in advance on the belief that they know for sure they can sell that much money worth of books, and specifically your book. Another pro, of course, is that they can get you into cons, conventions, panels where you get to be a guest speaker, book tours, and merchandise. These are all things that they will put forth for you if you work with them and their team. They also handle secondary rights, which is movie, film, TV rights. So if your book gets so big and so popular that the TV industry or the film industry starts looking at you, they can usually negotiate stuff for you so you're not having to find a lawyer and hoping to God they're on your side and know what to do. They will work a deal with you so that you're not having to do it. Also, they can do secondary rights. You can't always do that if you're a self-published author. Next up we have small press. Small press is exactly that, it's small. They have a brick and mortar business. Some of them can be very old, up to 60 years, 100 years old. And they're not usually a part of the conglomerate that is the big five. The fun thing about small press is they tend to have a more literary bent, and so they're more often likely to take up poems, nonfiction, history books, and occasionally anthologies or collections. So if you're a poet, you actually can get your stuff published. There are small boutique presses that will take you. So, you can do it, guys, fellow poet people. With small press, you can get an advance, but it might be smaller, or you might not get one at all. So that's something to think about when you go to apply to them. Next up is vanity presses. Vanity presses are a big, fat lie. They are not a publishing house. They masquerade on the internet as publishing houses. They will go up and say, "We love your book, it's fantastic, we want to publish you." And then, they will say, "Oh, by the way, you have to fork over money in advance to us so that we can do it for you, and then we'll publish it." Unless you are a self-publishing author, you should never, ever, ever pay a publishing house for services. So please, for the love of God, if you have a vanity press that is talking to you right now and asking you for money to publish a book that they want to publish, walk away. Do not say they're cheaters and liars and not real publishers. Can you tell I have issues with vanity presses? Next up is digital press. With digital press, you don't actually have to have an agent to query them. You still have to query or pitch to them to get accepted, but you don't need an agent. Unlike traditional publishing houses, digital presses don't have a brick and mortar building. They're online. However, depending on the size of the digital press, and there are a number of very large digital presses, they can actually be on par with traditional publishing. Some of the key differences between digital press and traditional press is that with digital press, you won't get an advancement, but you will get more money per book that is sold than you'll get with the traditional publishing. There's going to be times where the digital presses are small since they're kind of this new-ish thing, and so they won't always be able to give you a good splash, for instance, or help you really get your name out. And that's just kind of par for the course right now. But so far, there are a few digital presses that are really starting to give traditional publishing a run for their money. So definitely keep your eyes out. It's a great kind of in-between thing to do between self-publishing and traditional. And there's a lot of benefits to it as well, depending on the size and who the company is. Research is definitely a thing when you're looking at digital presses. Next up, we have that really famous one that everyone sees as hashtags on Twitter, on blogs, and that is indie authors / indie publishers. This is gonna be fun. An indie author is very often confused with self-publishing, but in the words of the wonderful and ever-correct Inigo Montoya,
you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
That's right, self-publishing and indie publishing, while technically the same, are also different. And saying that you're an indie author and a self-publishing author is a little... An indie author, unlike a self-publishing author, is taking it more seriously. They're actually taking it a step further. What that means is that an indie author, more often than not, starts a small publishing business. Now that sounds scary and like really official. It doesn't mean they're taking on clients. It means they're creating a business specifically for them, so they have an ISBN number. There's a whole host of reasons, but they create it because they are taking their writing career as a career. They're taking it very seriously. They intend to make money for it, and they intend that their work and they themselves are synonymous with quality content. And that usually means they're willing to invest money to do it in themselves. So yes, while they are self-published, an indie author is more. It's just more. They're more serious about it. And last but not least, we of course have self-publishing. Self-publishing is the one that everyone knows of. It's when you don't have the money, or maybe it's just a hobby and you just really wanted that one book out, or you're not very sure of yourself or think that you can make the cut by querying traditional agents or even digital presses. So you self-publish. There's nothing wrong with self-publishing at all. The thing is, when you self-publish, most people don't take it seriously, or maybe don't know how. And that's okay. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you, the writer, all of you writers, but more specifically, those of you who are new to this whole thing. So, self-publishing is when you put it out and don't hire an editor, don't hire a book cover artist, don't realize that you need to format your book. They just kind of put it out into Amazon and say, well, I hope it does well, not realizing all of the effort that it will take to actually get your book seen or even made. A lot of people are really intimidated by the thought of traditional publishing and finding an agent. It's exhausting and tiring and heartbreaking, and you watch people on Twitter or on Facebook, or as a friend, listen to them on the phone, cry and talk about how they got their 10th no. It does. It sucks to hear that many no's. There are so many options you can do besides self-publishing if you get a bunch of no's from agents. You can still do small press and digital press. You can even approach an indie author if they have a small publishing house. Maybe they're willing to take you on. Just you and them and maybe one other person. So there are options. You don't have to just self-publish. Hopefully this helps you realize that you have a bunch of options other than self-publishing. I'll try and put out another video about all of the things that are involved in self-publishing, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And while there are quite a number of cons for traditional publishing, people are starting to realize that perhaps the benefits and the pros are starting to outweigh the cons. So we can talk about that in another video, because we don't want this one to be super long, right guys? If you're an author who is published in any of these ways, let me know in the comments below what your experience has been. I'm really curious to see what you guys think, especially about indie author versus self-publishing, because I'm sure that's just gonna start a firestorm. But you know what? That's what we're here for discussing. Please keep it civil and nice. We're here to support each other, not tear each other down. But if you disagree with me, that's totally okay. I would love to hear your perspective so we can talk about it. Be awesome. Thank you for taking some of your time out of your day to listen to me talk. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, subscribe and maybe tell other people if you want to. And if you really, really liked it, you can always support me further by buying any of my books, or by supporting me on my writing Patreon, which has a bunch of fun writery stuff on it, and I'm really excited about it. All of that is in the description box below, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers!